All right, hello everybody. JD from JD Creative Arts. Welcome to the studio. Today we are going to show you different ways to do mountains. And again, mountains were something that I always struggled with because I either used too much paint or I didn't use enough, and things just didn't quite work out. So over a lot of trial and error and watching other people, I've found some various techniques to help you do it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So first thing that we're going to do is the generic one that you're going to see most of them do is with the palette knife. This is a number 5. This is a number 10. This is the one that you're going to see on Bob Ross or a lot of those other artists that use them, or these number 10s. This number 5 is just a smaller version of this. Okay, and we're going to use black paint. We're going to use a black. This is midnight black. Okay, so you can get you're going to mash it out as flat as you can get. And then you can get you a little roll on the end of it. I don't know if you can see, you can get you a little roll on the end of it. And we're just going to make a little outline. And make sure to move your knife around as you're doing it so you get all these little, you don't just have pyramids for mountains. You get all these little movements in there. Okay, now once you get we're not going to do really big mountains. Okay, so once you get your outline in there, then let's take some of this extra paint here and we'll do a little bit over this way. Okay, so once you get your outline in there, then you're going to go in there and you're just going to scrape all this extra paint off. Okay, try not to touch that top edge. But you're going to scrape all this extra paint off. Okay, now you take your 1-inch brush. Take a good clean dry 1-inch brush, and you'll get right below that top edge and just really press into it and then pull it down. Okay, and follow the contour of the mountain. But try not to hit that top edge. Pull it down. And that's just knocking off extra paint. That's not them picking up. Okay, so now we have the basic outline of our mountain. Okay, so now we're going to put some snow on it. Okay, so you take your titanium white, and I would recommend not using straight titanium white out of the tube. Tint it just a little bit so that if you want to go back and highlight that snow again, you can do it. If you start out with titanium white, you've already used your lightest light. You can't go any lighter than that. But if you tint it just a little bit, not really, really dark, don't turn it blue, but give it just a little bit of a blue hue. So it still looks white, but you can see a little bit of a blue hue to it. And then, like I said, if you want to come back afterwards and get a little bit of the white and just give little sparklers to it, you'll be able to. So you'll mash it out. Let me see if I can get it up here where y'all can see. We're going to take it and we're going to mash it out as flat as we can get it. Okay. Now you see right here, see if I can get up to the camera, right here that paint starts breaking. That's where you want to pull from. Get you a little roll on the end of your palette knife. You just go right above your little line there and just barely even touch the canvas. Follow the contour of the mountain, and the canvas will pull off what it wants. So let's go down here. We'll put a little bit more. We'll put a little more right here. I said just a feather touch. You're almost going to drop that palette knife because you're not holding it very tight. Okay, and let's put some right here. Okay, so now let's make us up a shadow color. So you'll take some of your titanium white that you've got, put it off over here, and we'll take a little bit of this. Start with just a little bit of paint, of blue paint. That way, if it gets too dark, you can always lighten it. That way, it won't end up too dark on you. That's going to be about the color that I want for a shadow, right there. Okay, so we're going to do it again. Mash it out as thin as you can get it. And then down there where that paint starts to break, you'll pick it up. And you'll do the same thing on this shadow side. Just barely even touch the canvas. But again, you want to follow the contour of the mountain. But you want to make sure there's a definite difference between your snow color and your shadow color. But you also don't want it to be the difference as drastic as like black and white. Okay, so let's go in here. Bring this one down like so. And you can always get a little bit up in these little areas right here. You can always put some on the small end of your knife and just kind of touch it in there. You know, but the one thing I will tell you is this takes a lot of practice until you can figure out the best pressure to use, how much paint to use. Okay, let's put a little bit right here. And you can even, if you've got some black on there, you can even go in and put a little bit of black in there, in those little empty spots. And kind of give it some good little contrast. Let's take some of the kind of, you know, you don't have to do a whole lot. You can just kind of dab it in there. Let's see a nice little spot right there. Let's just put a little bit in there. Okay. And you'll do the same things. I'm not going to go all the way back because I'm trying to show you just the best way to get them in there. Let's do this mountain right here. And to me, that's the continuation of this one. So we'll put a little bit of, let's put just a touch of white right there. There we go. And let's do a little bit, let's put some shadow on the back of this one. Again, just do a very, very light touch. Just kind of brush the canvas a little bit. And if it looks like it's starting to blend into this one, if you don't want it to blend into that one, just take you a little bit of black and just kind of divide it. You know, put you a little divider in there, like so. And that'll keep this blue from going into that blue. Okay, so let's go on and make another mountain. Another method that I've seen is, this is just a small flat brush. You can do this with a flat brush. You can do this with a shader, angled shader. Load up both sides of your brush and just draw it. And do the same thing, kind of do ups and downs so you're not making pyramids. Okay, and then when you're done, any of the excess paint that you still have on the brush, just take it off. And then you can take this paint and pull it down. And this also, if you need to add a little more paint, just get you a little dab and put in here and spread it out as thin as you possibly can on here. You know, bring that down, bring that down. You know, now you can go through, now that you got it filled in, you can go through and pull all your excess paint down. But again, just don't touch this top line right here, unless it's a distant mountain. But this we're considering this to be up closer to the foreground, so you don't want to touch that. Okay, and then you, as far as the snow, you do the same thing. You get you a really, really thin, mash your paint out on your palette, really, really thin. And wherever that paint starts to break on your palette, that's where you want to pull from. And then you get up here with just a feather light touch. And just follow them out. It's like that. Get you a little bit more. Go down a little bit. You know, and yes, making the sounds does help. I've learned that. But don't overwork this to where it starts mixing in with that. Okay, we'll put just a little bit here. And if you want it, let's add just a touch there. That's just a little too much. Let's take just a little bit and go. Okay, now take your shadow color. And you'll start right up here. And you're going to do the same thing in the opposite direction, just very lightly. But it's the same thing. Don't mix, don't overwork this to where it starts mixing with that and making it muddy, because it's not going to look good. Let's start here. You know, and take that shadow down as far as you want. You want to take it all the way down to the edge? Here we go. But the most important thing is a very, very light touch. And just to show you the little trick I was showing you with the black, here we go. We'll put some in here. Now just make that kind of look like a little deep culvert inside there where there's not any light getting in there. Now this is also a method you can do that. You can also do the mountains with a fan brush. You can do it with a like I said, an angled shader, just whatever, but just so you can get it to, just so you can draw it out and pull it out and thin, and whatever you feel like gives you the most success. It did take me a little bit to get used to figure it out, trying to do the mountains with a palette knife. All right, so I hope I helped some of you guys. You know, like I said, I know when I first started out, mountains and clouds, you know, mountains, clouds, trees, pretty much everything besides putting the paint on there was my nemesis. But I hope I've given y'all some good information, showed y'all some techniques that give y'all some, that will give y'all some success. And thank you for watching the video, and happy painting.